Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feeling bit by bit. Sweety and Sweety are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey,
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two Sweety sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweety with a Y.
And I'm Sweety with an I-E.
Yep, and we know how to talk. Don't worry. Yes. Hey guys, sorry. We're a little off and on here because I'll tell you a couple reasons. Number one, we're getting to be summer months, so my life is very quickly turning into when am I going to get a tan and what is on TV.
Priorities, people.
So that's the summer. Emily / Sweety with an IE is pregnant over here.
Almost 9 months, guys.
And she's being very positive and truly believes that nothing will change when this baby comes. But I'm like, listen, it's okay. We can do every other week. People,
this podcast is my life.
People will survive. Michelle will survive, right? Michelle, it's going to be okay. But yeah, so we took a little time off, and we've been doing kind of a different thing. We've been watching the movie and then podcasting later, not right after, which is what we have always done. And famously, when we did this, where we watched the movie and then recorded the episode the day after, I think it was terrible. We thought.
I forget what movie that was.
But we did it for, I think it was The Princess Bride not The Princess Bride, one of the Star Wars ones, maybe, because we were too tired, we were too sleepy. Star Wars, it was long, and then you watch the next one, part of the next one, the next morning, and you got confused between the two.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I told you not to do that. Anyways,
in some ways, I feel like
Star Wars: A
it
New
has
Hope.
helped
If you're
us.
interested,
We've only done this once because we did it with Her Alibi, right? Yeah. It helps us sink in a little bit, so you have more time to figure out.
At first, I thought I would
things.
forget everything, and maybe I will, but it makes it more interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, and that opens us up, to have a little bit more time, because if we watch the movie and podcast, that's a good 3 hours, 3.5 sometimes. So it's a chunk of change. So this might be the new thing, but hey,
Could be the new thing.
We're
just going with the flow,
constantly iterating to provide you guys with the best episodes that we can,
marching to the beat of our own Sweety drum.
Yeah,
Sweety drum. Anyway, so this week was technically my pick, but it was off of Sweety's list, which is totally allowed. But I picked
The Truman Show.
1998, starring the one, the only, Jim Carrey. This was probably his first divergence from his regular comedy roles, I believe. For a while, it was just Jim Carrey would put out a movie and it'd be a comedic spectacular, right? So you got your Ace Ventura, blah blah blah. So
Cable Guy Mask.
So
this led to two more more dramatic ones. So Truman Show was first.
Yep.
Then was
so number 23.
No, Man on the Moon.
Man on the Moon.
Which I've seen some of it, but I don't know enough about Andy Kaufman, and honestly don't find him that captivating of a character. I don't know. I didn't love that movie. I don't really think I even finished it.
I mean, I think you saw it on a bad date, right?
No,
So you're not going to have a good. Yes, you did.
No,
you went on that weird
bad date movie was Euro Trip or Road Trip.
She's forgetting that she's been on 2 bad movie dates.
Or Big Daddy was one.
Right.
Big Daddy
and
was
another one was Man on the Moon.
No, I never saw that.
Okay. Fine.
You are wrong. I know my life.
Anyways, yeah. So when this came out, we were kind of oh, let's go see the new Jim Carrey movie. And then we saw it, we think maybe in the theater.
Yeah, I'm almost
Because
positive.
that was the thing to do. Oh, Jim Carrey movie's
I wish
out.
I could dial Dad in heaven and be like,
I
Dad?
know, so
Because
many
he took
times.
us all the movies. So I want to be like,
So
hey,
many times.
Dad,
He
so
remembers.
hope you're
Yeah,
having
we
a
saw
good-
that.
Hope you're having a good time up there.
Yeah.
Can you tell me? Did we
Please
see
send
Truman
us a
Show?
sign. Did we see the Truman Show in the movie theater?
Oh my God.
But yeah, so this was quite a departure from his regular movies.
Yeah.
Lots of people in this. Like, who's not in this movie?
Yeah, good
is
cast.
a good question.
So you have Laura Linney as still like pretty new, I feel like, in her acting career in terms of like, well, 98. When was Dave? Because I feel like she was like super new in that. That was like mid 90s, right? And now like I've in my brain, like the Laura Linney from Ozark is like imprinted in my head, and it's so funny to like see this character, and I'm like, oh my God, because you know, she's so big and she's such a good actress. Love that bitch.
Love it.
Talk about loving that bitch. Ed Harris.
Ed, I have no Harris.
Yeah, Ed Harris. As Christoph. I keep wanting to say Christo, who's randomly this like lighting.
I kept thinking that too.
The Christo was this. I did like a lot of theater and ballet and stuff in school. When I was growing up, and we had this lighting designer who I think was like a homeless man who lived in the costume shed of like the academy where I performed, and he was just one name, Christo, and he did the lighting. He was like a chain smoker. Where did Christo go? I don't know. Anyway, this guy's name is Christoph, but has cool artsy glasses and like a Kangol hat.
Kangle? It's Kanga.
Is it Kangle?
Kanga.
Hun.
Kegel is the thing you do with your vagina.
Hat that Samuel L. Jackson wears? What is it called? Yeah, there's no.
Like Kegels? Like Kegel exercises?
Kangle.
Oh. Anyways, yeah. He's one of those people. Artistic. Has a vision.
But gotta love Ed Harris, right? Hot ball guy. Nice eyes too.
I think he had a little hair in this, and I was confused.
You traitor.
Maybe he did have hair. I don't know.
Who else? Okay, so Noah Emmerich, who, if you are familiar with the show The Americans, Sweety is because she's rewatching it.
I rewatched.
Yeah, she just
in the
rewatched
past.
it.
Finished it. It's over. Done.
Yeah, he's a great character in that. We always refer to him as like in the collection of men who are these pockmarked actors, and we always bitch about it because we're like, there's no pockmarked actresses, like you could never get a role because you're not beautiful. But it makes them like really like,
you know what, it's really fascinating too that he is in this and in the Americans, because it's like he's the one keeping the secret in the Truman Show, but in the Americans, he was the one they were trying to keep a secret against.
Yeah,
so it was like the tables were turned, and like he was almost an inside agent.
Yeah.
So I found that really, really funny.
Holland Taylor as Truman's mom. So nice.
One of those classic old lady actresses.
Yep, classic old lady actresses. I think still dating Sarah Paulson. Very cool.
Oh yeah, that's
power
who that
couple.
is. I was like, oh, right.
And then like I had to like stop and check it out because I was like, is that Paul Giamatti?
Yeah, duh.
In like a small role.
lackey.
Yeah,
is just like a assistant camera person on the show or whatever. And then isn't there someone else? And then fucking not Paulina Poroskova as the other woman.
I just call her Duckface.
The model lady. She's like a model.
Face.
And a little bit of a duck face. But yeah, I guess that's it.
Directed by Peter Weir, also known for directing that movie Witness with Harrison Ford, where he goes undercover in an Amish community to catch a murderer. I watched that.
It was pretty boring.
Yeah, it's not that good. That's not good.
That would be better. That would be better.
Dead Poet Society. Oh, we should do that. That's a good podcast. We'll do that eventually. Yep. And then Green Card, that cute movie with Gerard Depardieu and Andy McDowell as, you know, just what you think of it as.
Never saw that.
Trying to get a green card.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, so there you have it. Cool concept for a movie for sure. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, that this was not before reality shows, but maybe like right as they were starting to take off as being such a huge part of the culture. Because, Sweety, you said, I mean, is the Real World documented as like the first reality show?
Pretty sure, guys.
What did you say?
1992 was the first season of The Real World. But it just really cemented this thing of people being fascinated watching regular people living. And it's like, why are we obsessed with that? Why do we let these programs and these shows like rule our lives? And like, why are we so invested in it? And The Real World was really the first show that really did that. And it was like, whoa, this is a thing. And then everybody kind of capitalized on that concept, right? So you had all these other shows that were vaguely similar, where it was like putting a bunch of strangers together in a situation and then seeing what happens. And then little by little, you change the environment. So then you have like Survivor. We're like, now we're going to put them on an island with no food. And then it's like Big Brother. Now we're going to have cameras watching. And there's like a blah, blah. I don't even know what Big Brother is.
But I feel like the Truman Show was trying to do like take it to the absolute max, where you literally were just watching someone's day-to-day same boring life.
It's a commentary.
At least if you had like The Real World was trying to like put people together who wouldn't necessarily be friends or hang out and see what that dynamic was, right? So they casted people, especially whether their race or their sexuality or where they were from, like that all like put into play, and they cast those people specifically. But the Truman Show really takes it to like the next level, because you have someone who
it's a movie.
is like people are almost putting it on as like a comfort, just having grown up with this little Truman. You know, when they explain like the whole show, that they have him like his ultrasound basically, and are looking at him growing up from that way. And by the time you catch up with it in the movie, he's 30 years old, right?
What?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
I'm depressed.
And people have like grown up with watching it. There's like this guy in the bathtub who's like always watching it.
Do you think he ever gets out of the bathtub?
I know.
I'm concerned.
I mean, wrinkly. But it's interesting watching it from where we are today, where this was sort of the 1998, so you would have had kind of the tip of the iceberg of reality shows really starting to take off. And now it is just like almost all shows are like reality shows. Yeah. And now coming back to like trying to get back to like real TV and shows and sitcoms and that kind of programming is starting to happen now. So there's a slight like twist away from reality, because we've just had it for so long, and it has become sort of like a detrimental part of culture, in my opinion, because you get people who have now like based their life off of it and have become these celebrities just for that fact that they're on these reality shows, like the Kardashians, right? Mm-hmm. And that show just ended, and it's like, fucking finally, like, what the fuck? Like, those people are so annoying. But wow, like that is now like the thing. And it just makes me sad that is kind of what I mean, is there anything good that comes out of reality shows? I'm not sure.
No, but like they wouldn't keep making those if people didn't enjoy them. So there's something about them that we're just so attracted to. And that's really what this movie is getting after, right? So it's an exaggeration of that. Right. So it's a very fascinating concept. I'll tell you my story when this came out. Well, actually, okay, so before this came out. So in 5th grade, which was, 1997, 96, 97, let's say. So keep in mind that's 2 years before this movie. I don't think it was even 5th grade. I think it was just like all my life. I just always, this is what it stems from. If anybody knows what movie this scene is from, please contact me immediately. I've been searching my whole life. Okay, so it's like a scene where somebody is having sex for the first time, and then some prankster is filming it and then putting it on a projector like outside their house at the same time, and they don't realize it. So everybody's flocking to like see this poor person have sex outside, and it horrified me. And it was like, for a while, whatever I thought I was doing in my room, like I was like, someone's projecting it on the outside of the house and everybody can see. And so I would be like afraid to get changed, and I would like have to get like changed in my closet because I didn't want anyone to see me naked. And then I was just like so convinced that someone was watching me, to the point where I had a Batman Forever poster, and I was convinced I saw like a camera lens in his eyes, and I was like, oh my God, there's a camera in there. There wasn't. Anyways, cut to 2 years later, the fucking Truman Show comes out, and now I'm like, okay, well, it has to be true now because someone's trying to send me a message. Be honest with me. Am I on the Truman? Am I the Sweety Show?
So this is a documented thing. They've called it because of after this movie, but sounds like you started it.
I was the original.
Called Truman Syndrome, where people did come out of this movie years later saying, oh God, I feel like I'm being watched. I feel like my life is a TV show. And they would go to therapists, and this would be like a diagnosed thing.
I'll tell you my biggest evidence that it was true is that this is the reason.
Okay, first of all, it's not true.
This is how
I'm
I
going to
got
tell you.
it. This is how I got it.
I'm sorry.
This is how I decided in my fifth grade year old brain. I had put together what I thought was like the coolest outfit on the block. It was like this horrible like sweater from Filene's, and then like these cool jeans that like would always zip by themselves down, and I wouldn't notice, and my fly would be down. Say lobby. So, and then these shoes, these like ugly, like like half heel like loafer things that I thought were like so hot. And so I go to bed that night, and I'm like, please God, let everyone think my outfit is so cool. Like, just please let everyone think I have a great outfit. So I go to school the next day, and literally someone comes up to me and goes, I love your outfit. It's so cool. And I was like, fuck, that's it.
They had
It's
an earpiece, and there was someone being like,
knew.
okay, go up to her and say,
No, they
"Do you
didn't
like
have to
that
tell her.
outfit?"
They saw it. She saw it on the TV program and was like, I'm gonna
Oh my
tell her
God.
that because I know she wanted to hear it. So
Okay.
from that point on, downward.
Okay, this has
spiral.
nothing to do with the Truman Show, but what you just said about picking cool outfits, and then when you look back, you're like, oh my God, it's like my entire life in childhood, because, and this specifically is around going to NSYNC concerts and being like putting together an outfit and thinking it is like the best outfit
I thought we
ever.
looked hot.
And then I was like, oh my God, what was I thinking? One time I went to Gap and I got like these cool like black pedal pushers with this like white tank top, like light floral. I mean, it was the most conservative, like weird outfit. And I'm going to be like, this is the one that's going to land JC shots. I was like, what? Or some first day of school outfits where I was
Yes,
like,
those were the best. Those were the
I'm
best.
gonna wear these brown boots I got from Bradley's,
Yes.
tucked in, like my jeans tucked into them, and this
Yes.
like frilly blouse.
Yes. So good.
Oh my God! And looking back, I'm like, what the fuck?
I
Why
wish
don't
we
just wear
documented
jeans?
more of our fashion. That's going to be my main goal next time I go to Mom's, is like just to look for fashion photos from our youth.
But just remember how the first day of school outfit was like so much
Yes,
pressure.
it was really, and like no one else really seemed to put effort into
I
it
know.
besides us.
I
but,
know.
like,
I'm like,
we
what?
were there
Missed
for
that
it.
memo.
As usual, we dress up. No one else does.
I know.
Classic
Anyways.
story. Back to the Truman Show.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, great movie, very
movie.
interesting.
Did you know it was nominated for 3 Oscars?
No,
Wow.
I did not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very good and very
Well, which
creative. So I'm not surprised, but I wouldn't like
Which
pick it.
category?
Oh my God. Best Supporting Actor, Ed Harris.
I mean, he's just doing a bit. He was
just
doing
okay.
like, I'm a
I mean,
snotty artist.
But this is how the Oscars work, right? Especially for supporting actor, you get like one good monologue, and then they're like nominated for supporting, right? Because you only need like a couple minutes
they
of screen
said
time.
words slowly.
I
They
mean,
are nominated.
Judy Dench won for like Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
She like stepped over
Like
a puddle, and they were like,
40
"Oh my
seconds.
God!" Best director, so Peter Weir, and best screenplay because it was
Okay.
original screenplay.
Wow, yeah,
So-
you don't get that a lot these days.
So pretty cool. And also,
Did it win any?
Didn't win any. This is often showed in media ethics courses, talking about, is this show ethical? I mean,
No.
we haven't talked about the plot yet, but even today,
will.
Sweety was like, is that like, how could that be legal? Well, probably it isn't.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really untrust. I mean, like the amount of distrust poor Truman must have. Like,
I mean,
it's
he's
just
gonna
like,
be
I can't even.
fucked up.
Where is he now? I'm really concerned.
Tons of therapy. I mean, he's actually going to have Truman Syndrome.
I know. And like, he doesn't know anything about modern day pop culture or the last pop culture for the last 30 years, probably, because they couldn't let him, because probably things like real news, like all that stuff couldn't have happened because they'd be talking about the
we'll
Truman
talk
Show.
about it, but the most disturbing thing for me is the manipulation that they do to him to make him stay in one
Yes.
place. That's the most disturbing thing to me about this movie, and just manufacturing basically traumas to keep him on that island. Whoa.
To me, it's
that
like-
is really for the sake of entertainment. You're
Okay.
like messing up
But
somebody.
what happens when he's like changing or like,
It's on camera.
no, because they can't show a naked
Well, remember they
man
say
on
when they
camera?
have sex that they black it, like they black it out. They don't show people that.
When did they say that?
Some guys are talking, those like security guards who watch it, or someone in the bar is talking about it or something.
Because there's that one point when Ed Harris is like, the first on-air conception. I was like, ew.
Yeah, but past ones they haven't, like, I think didn't maybe like
Okay, I was always
the
questionable.
Laura
I was
Linney
like,
character
I know.
that was in her contract, like no, like sex.
I don't know.
But anyway,
Yeah.
we're getting like way too far into it.
I know. Let's just talk about it.
But,
Let's just start talking about it.
so for this week's synopsis,
Sweeties.
And good afternoon. And in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good night, good evening, and good night.
Good night.
That is a cute part of it.
Yes. Truman Burbank is a 30-year-old man who's been living in a nightmare for 30 years, and he doesn't know it. His whole life has been filmed from conception.
No, so they
from ultrasound to birth through his life in his 30s.
Well, the scenario was that they had like 4 babies, unwanted babies, who were put up for adoption, let's say. So women were having these babies, they weren't going to keep them. So they had 4 women lined up with these babies. Basically, whoever came first was going to be on the show. So Truman was born first, so they selected him.
And then this TV show owned Truman pretty much. Like they adopted him.
The first corporation to own a person or something.
Yeah, sketchy. Well, there's also slaves.
Right.
And okay. So that's it. So it's a crazy situation here. We have the biggest TV studio in the world. You can see it from space. It's somewhere in Los Angeles. And it's just a massive production. They have 1 million extras. They live on this what is supposedly a small island called Sea Haven Island. And Truman is just unaware of all of this. And there's just cameras everywhere. And his whole life from morning to night, and even when he's sleeping, is filmed. It's crazy. So he doesn't know this. And one day Truman, a few things start to happen.
Yeah.
That make him question his reality.
And why did you think all these things coincidentally started happening at the same time? Was it just the breakdown of the show? It had been going for so long and they just got sloppy? Because it was technical things really at first.
I think he was looking. I think for a while he was fine accepting it, but then he gets older. He starts realizing this woman that he's married to is really fucking annoying, and he's trying to find a way out. And then he starts noticing things. So he's more susceptible to the suggestion, maybe. So the first thing that happens is one of the stage lights comes crashing down from the ceiling right on Truman's street and breaks the ceiling. The sky to Truman, but in reality is on the very, very top of the studio soundstage. So he goes over and he's what the hell is that? And he's trying to figure it out.
And it has this label on it that says Sirius, a name of a star. Yeah. So as the viewer, that's one of the stars in the sky. It's a light. But that is kind of strange, right? I don't know what you would think about it.
Well, he's not sure. He's that's a little weird, but I'm not going to go off the deep end yet.
But the thing about the show is that they manipulate him because they have control over what he listens to and reads and everything. And they can say, so what do they say about it?
So he's driving to work, and then he puts on the radio, and they're well, don't worry, folks. The something spacecraft is flying overhead and dropping space debris. So you might see some crash down from time and time again.
Okay, that explains
it.
And
he's got it. Thank you. So then, and the next thing that happens is he's going to work, which is this very busy area for a small island community. Bustling downtown community. This homeless guy walks by him, and it's he's Dad? Is that my dad? So we find out that the way they engineered to keep Truman stuck on this island was they put him through this horrible ordeal where he was with his father on this tiny dinghy in the sea, and there's a storm, and then his father he watches his father drown in front of him, basically. So from that point on, Truman cannot go near water or boats, which is how else can you get off an island? I'll tell you how, a plane. But that doesn't seem to be an option. So he's terrified of that. So he thinks his father is dead.
Though there's bridges. Oh, he can't even drive over water.
It's the water thing. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So he believes his father has died his whole life. That's what he thinks. And then he sees this homeless guy who looks like his dad. And he's Dad? And the guy kind of recognizes him and is excited. And you're whoa, what's going on here? So he's okay, that's pretty weird. So then he starts to think something is up. I thought I saw my dad. As soon as he saw his dad, these 2 people came out of nowhere with a headset and were woo, and took him away. And it was super weird and shoved him on a bus. So he's very suspicious. Next thing, he's driving to work again, has the radio on, and then there's like some interference, and the channels get crossed, and so then he starts hearing somebody narrating essentially exactly where he's going. So it's like, no, he's heading on Ventura, and then you like look up, and it's like Ventura, and he's like, huh, and then he tests it out and like does weird things, and it's like following him, and he's like, okay, what the fuck? So this is when I think he really starts to freak out and spiral. And I guess I stopped writing down the events after that, but I know there were more. And then he starts really paying attention to things. So he notices sometimes his wife, what is her name? What's her fucking name?
Yeah.
It's like something stupid. I don't know, but Laurel?
Yeah, I want to say Laurel,
Which
but
is confusing because
Maguire?
it's like Laura is her name.
Yeah. I think it is Laurel.
Okay, we'll go with Laurel. He notices that she just like says weird shit to nobody in particular. Like she's almost in a commercial. She'll be like, "Have some of this cocoa from the finest beans in Upper Town of Venezuela," and then is like looking somewhere weird. So he's like, "Why do you always do that?" So he's starting to put the pieces together. Starts noticing he sees the same people on his block circle around in the same order, like one hour, like every minute. Here they come. Sees that. He's like, okay, that's kind of weird. Every time he does something weird, people don't pay attention, right? Mm-hmm. That was the other clue,
yeah.
right? It was like they didn't pay attention. Yeah. So it was like he didn't even exist because they're trained, they're extras, so they're supposed to be like, don't pay attention, like you just go about your business, don't
interact with them unless it's in the script, because it's all scripted, right?
Right, unless you have like a speaking part,
or not. It's not even scripted, but they all have earpieces that they're like telling them what to do. So, well, kind of scripted, but like guided.
Yeah. And so he starts sort of telling people, I think there's something up. And of course, everybody's in on it. So like there's nobody he can tell. Plus, his whole life is being filmed, so everybody knows that he's like slowly figuring this shit out. And Christoph, the creator, is like he's not that concerned until Truman starts getting like a little ballsier about trying to get off the island. And so he makes a couple of breaks for it. I think so the first time he almost gets off is when he takes Laurel like hostage in the car.
Yeah.
Right? So after a while he like really snaps, and then
they do get over the bridge.
Yep. And he like takes her in the car. He's like, we're gonna get out of here. And then they go over the bridge, but then there's like a forest fire or something that prevents them.
Down.
Well, remember there's the fire first, and then they drive through it. And then the power plant had like exploded or something, so they couldn't go any further. So they had to turn back.
He gets out and tries to make a run.
So it's just more proof that like
these guys chase him in these big suits.
Oh yeah.
And then he like almost gets arrested, and then he kind of like calms down. But he's like, he knows something's not right here.
He's like, this is not.
And there were examples like prior to this 30th year or whatever that little things had happened, and he kind of like either didn't realize it or kind of blocked it out. So they have examples of people like parachuting in because they wanted to be on TV, and they wanted to like let him know also. So parachuting in with a sign that being like, Truman, you're on TV. Or when he's like a little kid, someone like pops out of a box. Favorite. Yeah. I mean, he was like little. But the biggest one is that this woman gets on the show, and they have, like I said, it's all scripted. So they have it. So he's supposed to marry Laurel. So she's like the main person in his life. But then there's this woman extra that he is very attracted to. And he kind of, even though they're trying to push him towards Laurel, like he is a human and he can make it. He really can make his own decisions. Just kind of goes to show that you can't like completely control somebody, no matter, even if you control everything in their environment.
Yeah.
He kind of hooks onto this extra, and she is a bit of like doesn't like what's going on the show. I don't know if that was like her mission going on, or she just kind of felt like that once she was an extra.
Yeah, I think that probably.
So they like run away from the cameras. They're able to somehow, because she's like, we have to leave now. They were like studying in the library, and he like takes her to the beach, and she tries to tell him before like this, her dad like off roads in a station wagon onto the
down
beach.
The sand dunes. Like, how did
Jimmy
they get out?
We were like, what is that? Like, How is that guy taking his family
I guess
station wagon?
maybe
4-wheel drive on the beach.
maybe because it's not real sand. Remember, it's
Yeah,
like it's
that's what I
all.
thought.
So there's probably is a road like
Yeah.
actually underneath that.
But this guy shows up and pulls her away, but not before she says, like, you need to get out of here.
But what did she say? She's like, it's all pretend. It's all an act.
Yeah,
it's all
an act.
Yeah.
Like, blah, blah, blah.
And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's
Yeah,
just like, it's
it's
just
just-
too wild for him to even like
Yeah,
comprehend.
It's not dawning on him.
But it's
So-
always remained in his head. This
and
moment.
because the dad who drags her away is like, well, we're moving to Fiji, and so that always sticks with him. So he's been searching for this poor girl. He knows her name and that she moved to Fiji. So he's always like calling like Fiji.
Okay,
Like
sorry. Her name is Lauren.
Lauren.
This girl.
Yeah.
Her real name is Sylvia.
Right.
But so then that his wife's name is not Laurel.
Oh,
Then
what is
it
it?
can't be
Okay.
Lauren and Laurel. I'll look it up.
I don't know. Sounds familiar. But anyway, so he's always calling like Fiji directory assistants and like trying to look for her. And then he buys fashion magazines. Meryl. That's it. Yeah. Oh yeah. They're all the main characters are named after famous movie stars.
Oh, what? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Marland.
Oh my
Meryl,
god! I didn't even make that connection. Truman's mother is just named Truman's mother.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So he like gets fashion magazines and is trying to put together a picture of her face with like little pictures of different features of models. So
I'll
he
be
has
honest.
this like hidden little thing.
It looks nothing like her.
It looks nothing like her.
I'm sorry to tell you, Truman. You were wrong. It's off. It's off. It's way out.
My recollection was it looked more like her, and then when they showed him like trying to figure out eyes,
Yeah.
he's like 4 sets of eyes that he found that day. So he like goes to his little collage, his hidden collage. He's in the basement, all like secretive, and he pulls it out of the eyes, and the one he settles on, I'm like, nope, still not close.
It's not even the right color. I don't know, Truman. I don't know. It's so sad.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so that was like the kind of the
Yeah.
big one that. And he always kind of thinks about
Yes.
that was kind of weird. So that's kind of like a seed
Yeah,
in there.
that was a seed.
And then all this stuff adding to that sort of makes him be like
Over the top.
"Ugh." But they do something with the homeless
Yeah.
guy,
So
though.
then they bring back the dad, and so that guy snuck. The real story was the dad got written off the show, which he was like sad about because obviously it's
because
like
he wanted more money. It was a contract. thing
yeah
or
something like that, and then he snuck back on as a homeless person.
Yeah.
Why are all these not very good security at this studio? But yeah, so they write him back into the show, and like his buddy Marlon like introduces him back to his dad like on this like foggy dock at night, and it's like this great moment, and it's like one of the biggest moments that people tune in for, you know, like the reunion of Truman and his father. But he's not. So they hope. I think Christoph is hoping that he will put this theory to rest and think that it was just like some weird thing with his dad having screwed things up. I don't know. Who knows? But they're hoping it gets his mind off of what he's like slowly starting to think. But it doesn't. I forget why.
Yeah.
Like, where's the dad after that?
They do have like one reunion thing where he's like hanging out with him. But then like something kind of weird happens with Meryl. And she gets kind of freaked out because that's when he like takes her in the car and whatever. So they decide to get her off the show.
Well, and he like kind of threatens her with the peeler, right?
Yeah,
And it's like, what are you gonna do? Dice me? And she looks somewhere and says, "Do something." And he's like, "Who are you talking to?" And that's when he like really gets freaked out. So then she's off the show. So she's like, I don't feel safe. I'm leaving. Truman kind of like holds up in the basement for a while. Like he's like doing weird things.
Oh yeah. Now I remember.
And then he sneaks out through this little hole that he's been digging, like Shawshank Redemption style, in the garden for like years.
Because I think he does know now that there's like cameras and stuff, right? Because he wouldn't do
Yeah.
that. He knows someone's watching him all the time, and he goes to great lengths to like trick them into thinking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how he knew that,
Yeah, I
like
forgot,
where
too.
the camera was and to be positioned, the sleeping bed, like whatever.
Yeah.
But anyways, he escapes and then he tries to make a break for it and goes to the bus station and gets a bus ticket to Fiji, which is like not possible. But that's where he wants to go.
Chicago. He's
So
going to Chicago.
first goes to Chicago. So he gets on the bus. And it's just a great scene of just like no one on the bus expects this to be like this has always just been a prop bus, like never a real bus. So everyone's just like sitting on the bus like terrified, and the poor bus driver's like.
So the idea
"La,
is
la,
that like
la."
all these little scenes that are happening in town just go on. So if you're an extra on the bus, every day you're just pretending to be at the bus station and getting on this bus.
Yes.
And if he just happens to come along, like that's what would happen, but you're just this basically scenery.
Right.
So you have someone's job is to go to work every day and all they're doing is like getting on that bus.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I just like,
That's crazy.
what? Yeah, it like hurts my head when I think
know.
about it. And then like even just thinking about like his wife and like his mom and his dad before he died, like when did they have free time?
Well, I don't know if you remember this part, but Marlon and him are joking about some like teenage shenanigans they did, and they're like, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, that's when you got pneumonia and you didn't like come to school for a month. And it was because he went on vacation."
Okay, got it. I thought he just was really
No.
was sick.
No.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So I guess that they find little ways to like get them. So it's it's like the Americans.
Yeah.
Like they have to make up these
It
like
is their
excuses.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. But,
I mean, Laurel,
but
or
like
Meryl could have been
sleeping?
like
Meryl
could have
had to
been like, "Oh, I'm
sleep.
going to go visit like my cousin," and
or like
then
the
she'd
night
be
shift because she was a nurse or something. I don't know.
Or that's a funny scene too when they like are going. He goes to try to catch her, like follow her to her job as a nurse, and is assuming like it's all fake. And he again kind of what we were talking about with the bus, like the people at the hospital aren't used to like doing anything. So he shows up and they have to like fake do surgery on some guy's leg.
I was surprised they had the hospital,
Yeah.
like the set. I was like,
Yeah.
"Wow, it was so funny." He was like, "And now I'm going to cut the leg." And they're like, "And I'm
And
going."
the extra like shoots up who's the patient. And Truman's like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, the anesthesia's
fine,
not
it's fine.
working."
Oh yeah, and there's another part where he like goes into a building, a random building, and then like tries to go in the elevator, and then like someone stops him, and while his back is turned, like you see like the real. It's not really an elevator, obviously. It's like a stage, and it's just like people sitting back there like eating donuts. And like, ugh. And he's like, "Whoa, what is this?" But yeah, so where were we before that? So he goes to the bus.
Yeah.
So he's sitting on the bus. And so then the camera focuses on the bus driver, who's an actor. So you have to remember, all these people are actors. They're not bus drivers. They're actors. Literally doesn't know how to drive this bus. Is like, I don't even know if it works. And he's just like doing the gear shift, like
Grinds the gears, yeah.
grinds it, and then like there's like a hissing sound. He's like, "Bus is broken. Everybody off the bus!" And then, like everybody has to get out of the bus. So Truman's like, "God damn it!" So, oh no, is that the time? And then he gets on the boat.
Yeah, so no, he escapes through the tunnel and gets on the boat. is
Okay.
when that happened.
Then what was the bus?
I think that was before then, just another time he tried or something.
Sorry. Yeah, so now he's escaped out the hatch, gone. He's very smart now and has smartened up to the fact of like why he's afraid of water. He's like, "Oh, they made this happen." So he's like, "I'm gonna get in this boat because it's the only way out the island." So he's in this little boat, and the Kristoff is crazy now, and he's like, he can't let Truman go. He's like a parent who can't let go of their children. He's like, can't let him go, can't let him go. So he does everything in his power to try to get Truman not to leave the island, including almost fucking killing him by starting a storm with like they put the wind and the rain all the way up to like very dangerous. Do not put it on this level. And Truman almost dies. He gets like caught in the boat. I'm like, can he even swim? Because he's been afraid of water since he was like 3. So it's crazy. And finally, and then, like, it's a great scene because everybody throughout the movie they show people in real time like watching the movie. So you have like this whole crowd at a bar. You have the guy in the bathtub who we mentioned. These like 2 old ladies who have like the Truman Show pillows. This like Asian family. So it's global. The bar with all the people. Yeah.
There's like a Truman bar where it's on all the time, and people just
people
watch
just
it.
come and watch it.
And like the bartenders are so funny. They're these like 2 ladies always like crying about.
So they're
it.
all like watching this unfold, and everybody's cheering for Truman to like, you can do it, you can make it, and it's really sweet and heartwarming.
Even though he really can't go anywhere because it is like a dome.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a beautiful scene because the storm all happens, but then finally Kristoff,
not Christo,
has to let it go.
Yeah.
Like
And
all
then
of his little assistants are like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not
this
going
is
to kill this
crazy."
person on national TV, like global.
Yeah. And it, Kristoff is supposed to be kind of this like god, he kind of thinks he's a god anyway.
Yeah.
And really has that position in Truman's life because he can, he didn't create him, but he like is responsible for everything that's happened so far in his life. And I don't know, I forget like what turns him, why he gives up.
think he just
can't.
Well, he almost didn't, and then you thought Truman drowned because he goes under the water, and then he pulls himself up on the rope, and then I think that's when he relents.
Yeah. Well, I think he just realized that Truman's want to like get out of it
is greater. Yeah, is stronger, and so they put down the weather, and it's like a sunny day, and then the boat like hits right into the end of the dome, so it just like the thing like goes through the wall, and he's like, what the. Like, what must he have been thinking? Like, I can't even comprehend, like, what your world is.
Because it really did look like an ocean.
Yeah.
When all the storms and stuff was happening.
Fooled me. Like, how deep was that?
It looked like, what's that terrifying movie? The Perfect Storm.
Looked like The Perfect Storm.
Yeah. That's what it looked like.
Yeah. So then there's, like, he hears a voice. He's like, it seems like God, but it's Christoph. And he's like, I'm Christoph, the creator. And it's like... Does he still know it? Is he still like, what is this? Like, does he know it's a TV? Maybe finally he's thinking back to the moment with Lauren where he's like, she said it was, or like all the weird stuff. Yeah. And so basically Christoph is like, you can stay in this perfect, like, idyllic land and world, and like,
why do you want to go out to the real world? It's messy.
It's terrible out there, and like, you're a star here, and like, don't you want to live with that forever? And then Truman's like, no, and then just leaves. And does his like final sign off of the thing he says every morning to his neighbors. If I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And then close the door. And everybody watching cheers, and they're like, yay!
Yeah. So it's interesting because you would think, like, these people are so invested in it. Would they be sad, like, their program is ending? But really, they were just so, like, such fans of Truman and wanting him to succeed more than anything.
Yeah.
So then you have the show, you know, that hasn't been off the air for 30 years. Like, it's on all day, every day. It's like this station. And all of a sudden, it's not broadcasting anymore. And then you see all these people who are watching it, like, get up and be like, okay.
What do I do? Yeah.
What else is on?
What else is on? That guy is like, now I have to get out of the bathtub.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And that's it. And then it ends. And then the credits roll, and that's it. So we don't know. And I may have said this before about another movie, but there's this episode of the hit TV show Dawson's Creek where Joey goes to college, and she's like, creative writing is like her thing, right? She's going to be a writer. I'm Joey. I'm a writer. And her professor, she like reads her story, and then her professor's like, great story, but your story ends where it should have begun. And that always has stuck with me, even though it's like Dawson's Creek. It's like, okay, well, thank you, Kevin Williams. But that makes so much sense. And I think of the Truman Show as almost like that, right? Because I'm more interested in what is Truman's life after he exits the show and finds the real world, which is so much more complex. Like what I was saying, like he can have no real world news or anything like that might even mention the Truman Show. So they're feeding him all like fabricated content. And even like if you look at the TV, his favorite TV show is this like classic TV show from the 50s because they couldn't give him anything modern because it probably would have referenced him at some point or something. Yeah. It's too dangerous.
Totally. But you see that the woman who was in the show in the beginning that tried to warn him, Sylvia, seems like she's like going to go find him because she knows that he's still,
so they'll probably hopefully end up together. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Will they make it? I don't know. They literally spent an hour together. Yeah. But she seems to be running like a free Truman liberation front.
Right. After she was on the show, like,
but I think it'd be funny. It'd be like, I know, it'd be like that movie, like A Blast from the Past, or like something where like or Austin Powers, even where like she's his guide to like the modern world, and we'll show him here is Nike air pumps or whatever.
There's this interesting German movie, I think, called Goodbye Lenin, and it's about this woman who like is in a coma and then wakes up. Like she goes into a coma when there's still like East and West Germany, and she wakes up and it's like past 1989 or whatever, so it's all like consolidated and whatever. But her kids won't like let her know because the shock they think is going to be too much and would like kill her. So they manufacture that it's still like communist East Germany, and they like have to get like old banknotes, and they have to like manipulate the TV, and it's like,
is it worth it? Always my question. Always my question.
Well, I mean, there's real world examples of that. Take like communist China. They don't let like media in, and they completely control like what those people see and digest. So it's like
scary.
it is scary. And
I mean, it could be we're the Matrix.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're in the Matrix. I don't know. Who knows? Who's to say? But yeah, very open-ended. Choose your own life for Truman. I hope he finds peace and happiness.
Well, he
but
was a really
probably
nice
not.
guy, and it was interesting that like they didn't know like what kind of person he was going to be, and they say in the beginning, like I said, like it started to become more complicated to like keep him on the island once he like has an explorer's personality. So he's like a kid. His number one thing he wants to be is an explorer. Like he wants to travel, and this is the reason why they have to create this like tragedy around his dad drowning, so this trauma can happen, so then he doesn't want to do that anymore. But he still does want to travel, and he still like does want more things, but his life is so like manufactured and the same. He drives the same route to work every day. He works as insurance. It seems like a real like
desk
of a job. Yeah. So they kept him, they were able to keep him like that, but really he had that spirit in him like the whole time.
Go Truman.
Yeah.
Go.
I mean, they could only do it for 30 years before he kind of wisened up and was like,
about time, buddy, about time. But yeah, so one of my other favorite little touches is like he goes to this travel agency at one point to try to get his bus ticket. And I love that the travel agency just has all these posters of like, it could happen to you. And it's like a plane with a lightning bolt through it. And like, just really trying to deter him from ever leaving. And I love that. I think that's like there's just a lot of funny touches like that when you really think about them are like pretty fucked up. But like in the movie, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, great writing, great, like we said, original screenplay. So like I guess there is some sort of connection to some sort of sci-fi story, like Ray Bradbury or something like that. So the concept is out there, but like all those little details make it super clever and like cool job writing the screenplay.
Great work. I feel like we talked about everything already. The only thing I was going to mention was Go Tauruses. Truman drives a silver Taurus, which was the same car that my best friend Izzy had.
The wagon or the sedan?
Sedan, which looked like a wagon.
Yeah.
Is there a Taurus wagon?
Yeah.
What? I gotta look this up now. Izzy, which one did you have? I'll look it up. Okay.
Pretty sure.
Taurus 90. We'll say 98. Sedan.
It looked kind of like a UFO, right?
I think it's the sedan. I mean, the sedan was huge. It was like driving a boat, I'll tell you. I drove that car.
See what the wagon looked like.
Taurus wagon. Okay, yeah, the wagon was huge.
Yeah. Yep.
But the sedan was not much smaller.
Those lights, they look like a bug.
It's like one of the most unattractive cars. And it was so strange. Izzy's car was like a boat. I just always felt like I was driving a boat. Like I didn't know what I was doing.
I'm offended. So my birthday was yesterday. I'm a Taurus, and I'm offended about that name.
About that car having that. I know. The coolest sounding cars have like a Saturn. I had a Saturn. Ugly as fuck. Cool name.
I saw one of those the other day, and I was like, wow. I can't believe
make
that's
them
still
anymore.
running.
Yeah.
I know.
Could be mine. The squat.
The plastic car. Did you ever see the movie Ed TV?
No.
Someone said this
But
was
it's a
similar.
famous example of a bunch of movies that came out around the same time that were essentially the same movie but slightly different. So
does Ed TV,
Scream,
he
I Know
doesn't
What You Did This
know
Summer.
he's being
No,
filmed?
he does know, I think, in Ed TV.
Okay.
That's the difference. She's like signs up for
Yeah.
it.
That's our Matthew McConaughey,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I've never seen it, but vaguely remember like that.
Yeah, never seen it. Saw this, was like, I don't need to see that. Done. It was more like adults. This was probably more family oriented, I guess. And this movie also reminds me a lot of Pleasantville, which is another very like idyllic kind of a lot of like going back to that time.
So in his Sea Haven world, it feels
Same year. Pleasantville was the
very
same year.
like 1950s.
Yes.
They made it that way on purpose, right?
I think because they couldn't modernize, like they couldn't. I think that was my theory, is that like everything would have referenced this in some way, like even pictures of the Earth, like they had to give pictures because if you can see it,
so
from
they
space,
had to make it the 60s because it was 30 years.
Anything
30
that
years,
predated him, I think, was safe.
Right.
That's my theory, anyways.
Okay. Wow.
It's just an easy way to do it without having to make your own content.
Yeah, that's cool.
So very interesting.
Yeah, because you have like
And
Meryl's
oh my
nursing
God.
uniform.
What?
Like, okay, I'm still not on
I
board
don't
with
know
those
why
hats.
they need that. I don't know why like the real people need to be like stuck in the 50s, but
And,
like
and Marlon, how he's
oh my
like
God.
has his little
He's
uniform.
like a vending
like,
machine stalker. Oh my, it's sad. But Meryl is so annoying, and like she's stuck in the 50s, and I'm like, girl, where do you think you are right now? She just like she pissed me off.
Yeah, and I'm glad they got at least like if they had a kid, you know, imagine like that would have been really hard for him to leave. You know, luckily it just either like wasn't working or like they just didn't. I don't know, their sex life.
Maybe she was secretly taking birth control because she really didn't want that. She seemed. I didn't like her. I don't like her. I don't like Meryl. I don't like her.
I mean, for that, I don't know if they could have faked this, but like, I would have like fake got her pregnant and then like had some other baby. Because like, what actress is gonna be like, okay, yeah, it's like this guy's baby?
That's I'm like, where is the
like,
line?
Forever? Like, right? Where is
like,
the line?
how much is she paid? / can she even use the money she's making from this show if she's stuck on this TV set most of the time?
Maybe her contract was
It's
only
not a good
for
job.
a certain amount of time, and then they're like, okay, we'll find some way to get you off, like a TV show, like a soap opera.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, we'll have you divorced,
And then they just
or have
bring
an affair.
like they bring on that other girl at the end after she leaves, like to try to entice Truman there.
That's so creepy.
The guy from 6 Feet Under is in this too. It's just like his boss.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, anything else? Any other mentions?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really great movie. I tend to be more like into Jim Carrey, like as the funny side of him. But like we said, this was the beginning of sort of his dramatic turn. So you had this movie, Man on the Moon, and then Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where a lot of people consider kind of his like big one and most successful one, which is like that's a great movie. But yeah, he nails it. He's really good in this, and like we always say, like comedians sometimes make like the best dramatic actors.
I think so because you need to have the. It's like the classic drama, the comedy and tragedy faces. Like you need to really have both to be a well balanced actor, and comedy is not something that you can just learn the way that you could, I guess, drama, where it's just like I have to be serious, right? But like comedy is a different thing. Like you can deliver comedic lines, but can you be funny? Maybe not. So I always find that like actors who start in comedy end up being actually surprisingly not all comedians, but a lot of comedians will have very strong dramatic capabilities because a lot of comedy is putting the sad and making it funny sometimes, like Pagliacci, right? The sad clown. So
Pagliacci.
it just makes a lot of sense to me, and so Jim Carrey is one of the best examples of that. I think
totally. And I was going to say something else. Shoot, but I feel like in each of his dramatic movies, there's a tiny sprinkle of the comedy Jim Carrey, which I do really enjoy too.
He's got to stick it in.
He's able to like throw it in there.
Yeah. And here it's when he's kind of losing his cool, right? And like what are you gonna do? Dice me is like a very Jim Carrey line. And, but probably he couldn't improv as much as he maybe usually does in some of his movies.
The one that was flagged was when he's like, so they have a camera in his mirror in the bathroom. So he like draws a spaceship head over his head,
astronaut
like
head,
astronaut thing, and like a little flag, like they've landed on the moon or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was all improv, like him drawing on the thing with the soap, and like the camera people were like cracking up because they're like, "Oh man, this is like so good." So they did let him do like little bits of that, which is great.
You gotta let him, like it's like Robin Williams, like have him, give him that 5-minute scene where he's just fucking saying shit.
And a lot of times I think they did say initially like the director and him butted heads because of that. And also because, and this was interesting and I forget this happened, sometimes when you sign a contract or an actor, you get like script rewrites like at your request. Like if you're saying a line, you're like, like I don't like this, like let's get something else in here, like that's in your contract, they have to do it.
Wow.
Which is like, wow, that is cool. I mean, you know, you've made it obviously if you are allowed to put something like that in your contract. So I think initially, I don't know if he did that too much or maybe the guy like couldn't handle the improv stuff, but then eventually they just kind of got in the same groove and they said it was a good time for both of them. So
thank God.
Yeah. Really cool movie, really different. When it came out, it was a big, very big thing. And I think it's aged pretty well, I will say.
Sure. Certainly now looking back and saying, hey, we still have reality shows that rule our lives.
We
Nothing's
thought they'd
changed.
be over.
We thought we'd learn from this. We didn't. But yeah, cool movie. Watch it again if you haven't seen it in a while. I recommend it. We both recommend it. Anyways, yeah, so come find us on Twitter at the Sweety Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. And thank you, as always, for listening. Bye. Are there any reaper now? Christoph, maybe.
Christoph?
Okay. Oh my God, stop.
Never not going to
Poor
say that.
Christo.
Christo, this
Sorry,
one's for
Christo.
you.